shouldn't be having public hearings. This is a hoax. This is just like the Russian witch hunt. This is just a continuation. When you look at the lawyer for the whistleblower, I thought it ended when they found out that the lawyer was so compromised. The lawyer's a bad guy. So you look at that, I thought that was the end of it. No, this is just a continuation of the hoax.
So that was President Trump at the White House moments ago saying House Democrats should not hold those hearings on Wednesday, but they will. They're on the schedule now. Louisiana Senator John Kennedy serves on the Judiciary Committee. Sir, good morning to you back home in Baton Rouge, and enjoy the game this weekend,
morning, William.
Wherever you find it here, sir. Now, a moment ago, I thought one of the more interesting headlines that he gave there was about the first phone call with the Ukrainian president, with Zelensky. I don't know the date that happened, but he says he's considering releasing that transcript. Do you think he should?
Yeah, if it won't jeopardize national security. I've been sitting here listening for the last, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes with great interest. I've learned from the presidential news conference about the first conversation. Secondly, the president, at least so far, has indicated he's not going to get involved in the Alabama Senate race. And, of course, we all heard that Chris Wallace will work for food, so that's been an interesting morning.
To turn it to just a more serious aspect here, when you consider next week and you consider some of the transcripts that have been released already, some of them appear to favor the Democratic argument, and then others appear to favor the Republican argument. And I'm wondering if you believe that we're talking in circles next week and whether we move the ball anywhere. Do you think that?
Oh, good question, Bill. Let me make 2 points. Number one, this whole process is not only dumb, but it's dangerous. This is going to be the first partisan impeachment in the history of our country. And I'm worried it's going to establish a new normal. Someday we'll have a Democratic president, and then half of the country will be pushing us to impeach him or her. They'll say, well, you know, you did it to Trump, now do it to the new president. And I think that's dangerous. Number two, there are only two issues in this process. Number one, why did the president ask for the investigation? And number two, what did Mr. Hunter Biden do for the money? And they're inextricably linked. And all of the back and forth about a quid pro quo is only relevant if what they're talking about is an appropriate quid pro quo or an inappropriate quid pro quo, which only relates to the two possible scenarios here. Now, Speaker Pelosi says that President Trump asked for an investigation of a political rival. The other point of view is that the president may have asked for, or he did ask for investigation, but the other theory is the president asked for an investigation of possible corruption, which may have been committed by a political rival. The second scenario is in the national interest. The former one would be in the president's personal interest. And those are the only two issues here. At least that's the way I see it.
I don't know what your feeling is on the whistleblower. Ivanka Trump is traveling in Africa. I believe she was in Morocco when she was asked this question. I thought her answer was intriguing. Just play this here.
I don't view the whistleblower as it shouldn't be a substantive part of the conversation, because this is a third party who was not privy to the call and did not have firsthand information. So that is what was the catalyst for all of this discussion. But to me, it's not particularly relevant.
I found that answer interesting because I don't know if a lot of people in the public they're splitting hairs on this or not. But you know, a lot of your Republican colleagues have suggested the whistleblower should go public or even have a private hearing. I don't know what your view is on that. But would that advance the argument, do you believe, in the White House favor, or could it hurt them?
I don't know the answer to that question, Bill, but here are my thoughts for what they're worth. I think we ought to follow the law. I don't know the whistleblower. I would hope that he or she would have the courage and conviction not to hide, to just stand up in front of God and country and say, here's what I did and here's why I did it. I've seen the press reports of the name of the whistleblower. Don't know if those reports are accurate. If they are accurate, it appears to me that the whistleblower and his counsel, or her counsel, I guess based on the names we heard, his counsel, are partisan political operatives, and I think that's relevant to this.
Okay, well, we will see.
I think most.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
it's okay. I'm just trying to get to one more topic here. We will see where that argument goes
Sure.
here, all right? One more thing. You were at the rally in Monroe, Louisiana the other night. I just want to play a clip. Got a little bit of attention. I think you're aware of that when you said this.
Speaker Nancy Pelosi is trying to impeach him. I don't mean any disrespect, but it must suck to be that dumb.
The audience loved it. I know you heard the reception down there, and I think your words can be clever oftentimes, if not all the time, but was that too much?
Well, I didn't mean disrespect, but I do think what I said was accurate. Let me say it again. I think that what Speaker Pelosi is doing here is not only dumb, but it's dangerous. It's a partisan impeachment, clearly. All impeachments, I guess, are political, but this one's 100% political. And it's going to establish a new norm for America that I think is bad for us. The other part of this whole process that really offends me as an American, forget about President Trump. I understand he's not nature's best diplomat, but whether you like him or hate him, this process is rigged. I mean, this is like a professional wrestling smackdown. You know, it's all scripted. And that's not right. That's just not fair.
Okay.
Due process should matter. And I think Speaker Pelosi intends to give the president a fair and impartial firing squad, and she made up her mind before she saw the facts.
Well, Senator, thank you for your time today. John Kennedy back there in his home state of Louisiana. Thank you, sir. Enjoy the game on Saturday. We'll talk again.
I will. Thanks, Bill.
Thanks.